So basically what this is it's a melody of 3 notes that we're gonna play. And we're gonna always start with the thumb as we're ascending. And it doesn't matter what note you start on, but we're gonna start on C just for this exercise. Thumb is finger number 1. The second finger on D, and then the third finger, which is the middle finger, on E. And so it's gonna sound like this. So try that. The technique here is going to be your wrist is going to lift up before you press your thumb on the C. And when you press your thumb on the C, your wrist is going to sink below the note, below the key even. It's sunk down pretty far. And then as you raise your wrist up and it becomes level, you're going to press the D on your way up. And then as your hand lifts up, your wrist is lifting your hand up and your hand's limp. You're going to press the E with your middle finger on the way back down again. So the wrist is moving in this wave-like motion. So we'll start C, D, E. And then we'll do it again. E, F, E. G, A, E. And then B, C, D. So how is that wrist motion feeling for you? So lesson 3 is the scales. That's when we'll start the scales. And there you'll see that the wrist motion goes for 4 notes instead of just 2. So down, and then that 4th note, my wrist is almost all the way up at peak now. And now it's going to come back down again for the next 4 notes. So down, up, like that. And then as the scales get very quick, you'll find your wrist is actually just moving that quickly. And if you watch a professional piano player just rip a scale at the maximum speed, and you look at the wrist, you'll see the wrist is going up above the key bed and then down below the key bed at a really fast rate, like that. But the beginning way to learn it, and the way that the Hannon book teaches it, is just to do the 2-note. Wrist lower, wrist raise. So the next step to add on is this concept of legato versus staccato. And so the first note of the phrase is going to be legato, and then the second note is going to be staccato. So it's going to sound like this. Down, legato, up, staccato, down, legato. Okay, so this is the final step for the ascending melody. And what it is in your left hand, you're going to play the chord that corresponds to the 3rd note, the note that you end on. And so let's say we're starting on C in our right hand. The note that I ended on is E. So I'm going to think in my head, E, and I'm going to play the chord in my left hand that corresponds to E being the 3rd note within. So my pinky is going to go on the 1st note of the chord, and my thumb is going to go on the 5th note of the chord. And I'm going to do it up higher here just so you can see. So like that. Try that out. the reason we're doing this is we're letting the ear, our inner ear and our outer ear ingest the harmony that we're hearing. And at this stage, this is beneficial for warming up your connection between your mind and body. But later on, this is the most integral part of advanced theory. Excelling at advanced theory really requires this integration being fully formed. So what we're going to do is, whatever note you start on, you're going to stop at the third note in the melody, right? We got that. And then when you play the chord, you're going to listen, and listen with your body and with your ear until you can feel that chord like lock into itself. So for me, it just takes maybe 1 second, but I can hear all those sounds just come together, and there's almost this core of the sound of the 3 notes that settles in on itself. And I'm just letting my body soak that in just for a second. And it's a really important step to include. And so we're going to ascend further up the scale, but each way along the way, we're just going to take that pause to let our body kind of soak that core of the ringing in. The only thing I'll add is when your right hand gets to the note D, that means you're done. And then just go back to E and let your left hand play the C chord. When you play the D in your right hand and you play the B and the F in your left hand, that's a return chord, and that wants to go back home. And so we're just getting that concept in early because it's going to serve us really well when we get to lesson 5. The next one is descending. So everything stays the same when we do descending, except you're going to start on your middle finger, finger 3. Again, you can start on any note you want except D. I'll start on C, for example. And remember, the wrist goes down as it comes up. Finger 2, your pointer finger here, presses the B, and then down. So the thumb is on A now. So it goes 3, 2, 1, and then same thing. My left hand here is going to play the F with the pinky and the C with the thumb to make sure this A here is in the middle. And then you just keep going down in that same pattern until you get to the D. And then when you get to the D, you know it's time to go home again. So try that one. If you want to go to extra credit, you can try exploring this in other keys. It doesn't matter if you do the wrong fingering in the other keys, because we're going to correct that by lesson 3 anyway. So yeah, you're totally fine if you want to explore other keys too. Let's just make sure that this is feeling fluid enough to where your wrists are moving correctly.